So let's explore the Fraser River again. Um, where we have an existing foundation would be the bridges, and they're more logical than using a C-span boat. Imagine now the square pound of pressure that an inch of water has. Now imagine if this spill off were to occur. You have it measured from the base at the bottom to the height of the river, how much it holds. So let's take each bridge and create a platform coming down the side, um, engineered to work as a skimmer dam just off the top. Just 1 inch here if the water were to rise too much. 1 inch there. 1 inch here. On all of the bridges that you haven't even created it yet. Just to divert water. How cool would that be? Do you think you would dry out the river? Do you think the sturgeons would mind? We'll call it flood and drain if you wanted to. You can add little like L's and part it, and like Jesus would part the ocean. Hell, you're so ingenious, you could probably swirl it up with the pressure and make a giant sprinkler out of it. Just from the gravity coming down the mountain, catching the water and spinning it back up. Make like moon mist out of it. That would be dope. Anyways, just an idea. Ropes and pulleys, man. Ropes and pulleys. Create a mega lift, bro. But don't stop at the Fraser. Please. Remember how we were talking about taking the old rivers and digging out the water beds? Like, if you wanted to innovate for the next 300 years, innovate, man. Like, start digging them deeper here. Okay, about 10 minutes ago, I heard that, what was it? It's not that I don't remember. I remember exactly, but I'm just trying to word it proper. I can word it exactly as I heard it from the cutest sounding voice I've ever heard. Why are humans so not spiritual? And then you know what my brain thought of? Everything that just lives in spirit. And that we just don't give a fuck. That was my first thought. Just no consideration. Like, what about the poop in the Niger River, man? I hear crying every time I poop in the toilet. Did you know that? Especially when I pee in there. Anyways, does it bother me? And why do you think it would bother me when I send you uh, anything thoughtful? That I'm worried that you're gonna hit me with a repercussion, and then I get scared to go in my own, not my yard, your yard. I literally get scared to go outside. I'm scared to go outside right now. That's why I don't go out into the front today. I have a couple times, but the majority of my smokes have been at the backyard because I'm afraid of you in the front yard. Because you're not spiritual. So my friends are paying the price. And they know it in every one of my emotions. I'll probably cry over this pretty quick. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just persevere, knowing that great things are coming. Also, my friend, what do you think about the show The Emperor's New Groove? Where there was a little pharaoh princess and a llama that was very depressed, and when he's depressed it would rain, and then one day people started singing and dancing, and then the sky went beautiful, and when the desolate lands flowers fucking sprung. Everything evolved all at once. Yeah. I think about that all the time whenever I'm depressed. It's like my go-to through thought to rest on. It's like a flick rate. I've got a bunch of them. Depending on the point I'm trying to get across, it's psychology. And I'm the psychiatrist. Like if you run me through the system 2 more times and dry me, I doubt I'll make it a third. It's a long time to go without a soulmate when it's your heart's desire. My heart's desire. So, like the Emperor New Groove. The other one that I think about all the time is, I guess, Next Life. Do you know how many times I use that thought? I just hold it and just fantasize about it. Grows vegetables and has like irrigation. You should see what's growing in it. It smells like chocolate cake. Except it doesn't heckle like those dolphins. Right now, you know what I'm thinking about? Okay. So when you get a call, like your phone rings, and you answer the phone, you're like, House of the Lord, Jesus speaking, insinuating that you're Jesus, and you're here to answer prayers. House of the Lord, Jesus speaking. Like the dimension that holds the next life thoughts of like happiness. Like it's got like switchboards and operators in there. The help is helping. The phones are literally never stopping ringing. I think even the dispatch is calling out. And whenever anybody answers, they just turn music on. They don't say anything. Just random phone calls that play great music. Every once in a while, I think they answer the call on speakerphone and they say, "Can they start doing more moon experiments? Please." Like all advanced civilizations do. This one used to be advanced. Still running off the old clocks. I want to offer you guys something in the most insightful manner right now. Okay. Um, I think I already have though. I've been told to stop sharing videos today because some spirits are afraid for me because I've shared them. I said I wouldn't share anymore. I told them that. You know those, have you ever seen those things where people make um like they will get like a huge board and then they'll take like a 3D rendering of the mountainscape and they'll put little trees and they'll spend like they'll find detail that they can like like geograph um like an area like like a craftsman. I think about that so much while I'm wearing my pajama pants. Also, I think about buying another globe and just start arting on it. But I always just tell myself that's a waste of time. Like all the time. Whenever I want to do anything creative. Can't afford it. Oh, okay. So I worked at Cisco, the meat factory, right? And you have to buy your own shoes. I think you get $30 a year for shoe allowance and $30 shoes from Walmart. They just fall apart. It's like the blood from the beef is trying to like rip apart the leather or something. But you're not allowed to wear those shoes outside, right? Like they're inside shoes. And when a steak drops on the ground, because it's money, gets picked up and gets washed and goes back into the package. Okay? At McDonald's, They buy their own shoes. They wear them in work. And when they drop something in the ground, it goes right into the garbage. Imagine, because we've tried talking about the churches and the stock market and getting extra stock. Like if you were to buy a car with like bumper to bumper warranty, instead of it getting melted down to make a 2030 Toyota truck, um, you would like sell it with the warranty by giving it the parts that are going to run out before it's what, 10, 15 years old, before it has collector plates. Here's your vehicle. Here's the shell. Everything is plug and play. Like a kid could put it together. And here's the parts that's going to last you until it's a collector. If you like to have it for an extra 15 years, I recommend buying twice the parts. Like your next cycle of parts might cost a little bit of money. Do you remember, like, you know how every year we get a new phone and it has like a new upgrade, but it loses 10? Like Android Beam is gone. You know how easy it was to transfer music with that for free? Now it's just gone. The only thing that updated was what? So if the churches don't work for taking the extra spill, I couldn't fix my mom's car if my life depended on it. Can't afford the tools. And on the news, the guy that owns a pizza place said that if he got donations, he would cook free food for the homeless. Well, what about after hours? Like, to mix an association would be like, hey, Cobb's Breads, do you make your own bread? Can you make us pizza crusts? We're getting all McDonald's extra stuff that they threw in the garbage today. We're going to call it Progi Pizza. And we're going to put it in special areas all over the world just to not record it, but just to see if it goes missing. Or not care, just keep putting it out there. Just pizzas in the wild. Make a little hut that's dry and fill it with Progi pizzas. Better than it going in the landfill. I mean, the shit died in vain, right? If you say it can't go because of whatever procedures or something, food standards, can we try exercising tree standards? Can trees be standardized to have an opposite standard that we have on our shelf, please? We could call it our first moon experiment. I spoke yesterday about to get you to cycle through your emotions, having like a nocturnal animal coming into you right when you wake up that didn't sleep. So that way you could cycle through your normal emotions quicker. Now that nocturnal is fed and full. And you, a sun seeker, blessed it. I was thinking about the how to help the military out again, and about having a military chapel, so that instead of them having to beg for funds like Navy SEALs at Walmart for $1, they could just corporize, and like instead of our RRSP contributing, they could just know that they're paying their way through the education themselves by offering it to education that's a nonprofit, through a church that's a nonprofit, and giving those kids that can't afford lunches from donations, and just doing this all yourself. Imagine that. I bet you can even put NASA logos in their lunch bags in case they're going to that home ec where they knit stuff. I bet you they'd even support it on their shirt, even with the crumpled deficit. They would just wear it anyway, like Zoo York stuff. Imagine if the water was turned on Hastings to wash it. Imagine if we lowered the water on the bridges enough that we could stop the water flow and redirect it, enough to dig out all that sewage. What we could do with it. How much life we could create from the sewage instead of it turning into um, food for our female spirits, or the only thing that lives in our shit and piss. Mud sharks. I mean, it kills the clams, fucks them right up. And the crabs. Imagine if we did that, and then in the middle of the river, we just built like a triangle. To divert water. Create channels in it. Imagine that. And then the next one, it was opposite. So there were water breaks, salvage areas, resting spots, ribbons in the water of water flow. Think how much fun that would be for the fishes. Like they would have fun getting flung down the river and then doing like a loop-de-loop spiral landing back the way they were facing in the first place, like a Ferris wheel ride. I wonder if it would get off. I wonder if we moved Egyptian sand into Abbotsford when we've taken the dirt out, if Abbotsford would turn into like a giant clam pit on our beaches. If our kids could run through and step on squirting clam holes and like dig them up for us and stuff. Did you know tree frogs didn't even know they could swim? They have no clue. They can swim just fine. They're great at it. Why do I keep thinking about thermocouplers? I have no clue. Listen to this guy's thoughts. He's genius. He's thinking about vortexes. Oh, never mind. You know why? Because it would take two thermocouplers. You know why? To create ribbon. Why would you want to think about oscillating right now? Do you know that on the Tim Hortons cup it says 1 pip on there? What do you think the spirits think about the actual person, Tim Hortons? Actually, I know that all of his donuts get thrown in the garbage at the end of the day. What do you think their opinion is of him? That kind of equals the same thing, but for a way different reason. But it's never good to take somebody else's opinion on somebody. You have to have your own opinion. I don't even know their opinion, but based off of the trade agreements, assumption isn't proven science. It's kind of like an ought, where you're typically wrong, but there's always a truth in there that leads to something right. Have you ever seen the series, what's it called, American Gods? There's one guy that has been offered to meet with another guy every 100 years or 300 years. He's like, I'll give you morality. This is like at the beginning of like the AD time or something. I can't remember, but and then this guy like starts human trafficking and selling tobacco and like is booming with money, and then the next time he meets him he's just depressed and doesn't want to do it anymore. And he goes through time up to present day. Odin talks a lot about how there's airplanes in the air that are just there in that movie. Pretty fascinating. He looks like Adam Sandler's dad from Little Nicky, but not quite the same. Do you know what actor I like? I have no clue his name. Um, he's like an older guy and he's got like a ponytail. And I'm gonna say like he looks like he could be like Irish or Scottish and like an elven dog person. Like I'm not talking about movies, I'm just talking about like super humble guy. Do you know what more something else would flick right? It's an emotion that you don't possess. You haven't channeled it. What does that mean if you're seeing something flash? That maybe somebody else that can see it flash is like a kindred to you? So okay, so if you're watching a movie that you know a spirit is like working on it and you're viewing it, right? And they're doing something with the screen that it's like artwork that as a viewer you're like, I don't know how they did that. It's kind of like magic. It's got, what is it called? Like during a fighting scene where it's like super accelerated speed, but you could see the click in the screen. Like it was three flashes, and then the guy has done a total circumference or rotation, in 3 movements. You can see it. And then in your natural life, you want to help that person out because compared to you, he's like got something wrong with his mannerisms where his body's jerking. He's got like Tourette's or Parkinson's. And you can see that in between the rotation of what you're viewing on TV, you could count 3 of his shakes when you just glance at him and go away and you think about it. That guy just twitched 3 times. I wonder if the guy in the TV might be able to help him, if he embodied him. Maybe if I thought about him being a kindred, he could help with unflicker rates, deflickeration, create like a flex rate. With his processing abilities and this guy's body moving faster than his mind, like something on it, chicken bonnet is going on there. Maybe we'll think and see if we've seen it somewhere else in our life. Or maybe use something with a stripe on it. Maybe they can't smell. But maybe a fly's wing is like gasoline. Or we can use the veins in a dragonfly's wing to that of the flower kingdom. And then we'll trigger that to a memory of a smell of a gas leak. And then we'll lay it down over both of the ones we just talked about. Just to see if somebody else can come in and help them. A thought isn't going to hurt anybody. It might just draw attention to somebody that needs help. If your heart's in the right place. And do you know something else about doing this? Is if it's not working, your brain, it won't like allow you to relax. It'll, for myself personally, I have to keep going with it until it fits together absolutely perfect. So whenever I try to work on this stuff, I like don't do it at bedtime. I won't even think about it. If I do think about it, I will unthink about it. Unless I'm committed to following it right through to the end. But if I ever think about it, like these thoughts here, I've already fully worked out. So I won't lose sleep over them. I'm just an autopilot, man. Utilize it. Please. Maybe use colors of puddles you've seen. If you do it properly, I promise you, if you go back and look at that puddle, There might be spilled gasoline. The colors will be gone. Then you know you've like helped out a spirit. Okay? Whatever you do to them, you'll feel yourself. It helps you keep going until you got it bang on. Hopefully that allows you to learn about the difference between giving a thought to somebody or always pulling one from them, or an object or a smell or a sound. See no, hear no, feel no, think no, but in reverse and with a great intention. Nothing wrong with what you're doing when all you're trying to do is try to stop people from being future bad guys, you might think. Or have one eye that's not droopy. Or if you're a man with male pattern baldness, like you're evolving, but you know you're an idiot, grow your hair back. So you can grow it out and cut it off for somebody without it. Or to look dope in a baseball hat. So here's another way. If that person is 1, 2, 3, and you can do 1, 2, 3 on something, and you know that person can 1, 2, 3 on something, how many different, if you're using their 1, your 2, and the other person's 3, then you would use their 3 on the first person's 2, on your 3, on their 1, on the first person's 3, and then when it comes to you, you've used what? 1 and 3? So 1's left over. But you're not going to keep going in a loop chasing your own tail, right? You have to switch the pattern. Because if you get used to doing the same pattern, you're going to become complacent in your emotions, bored, not satisfied, and maybe greedy. So you would pick the same number you had again that you used last time. I used 2 and 3 on myself. So I would go back with 3. And then when I go to the next person, I would switch the pattern. How many patterns could I do? When the square root of 3 or 9 is 3. I should be able to do 3 patterns before I start spinning. Or think of it while you're spinning. And if you spin it, that could be your middle bar of a helix. Right? What about if you duplicate the same digit twice? Then you could bring in another helix. Right? Fork 2 stars. And then you would never have to do it again because you could just start associating other things to your numbers because you would have a point, place, and thought to just think about making them touch and just knowing they'll fall right into the place without having to lose sleep over it. You will just instantly be able to create a spider web every time. Like a spider hatches from an egg and just knows how to make it. Now you do. It's fucking easy. Remember, the middle of a spider usually has 5 points in it. Very easy. What if you took the second and third one and started spinning them? And you went into the middle of the fourth and fifth. What if you said to somebody, I'm going to try this, and when I figure it out, tell me when you figured it out, and then we're going to try the spinny thing in the middle and seeing if we can pull together 2 galaxies. That'd be super easy, right? I mean, I did it by myself. So if you and somebody else could do it, then I could throw mine in there too. It's already connected to 3. Then we have another 5. Well, then what do we do? Feed it to something that passed away? For a reincarnation? What about my friend that 10 years ago created an entire building in heaven? What would you imagine his building would look like? Would you imagine it had 4 walls? Can you imagine where the tops and the bottoms of the walls would be? Can you touch them back to your first thought? Now you've created a vortex with a thermocoupler. Now what will you do with it? Will you keep it for yourself or offer it? Or there's already one sitting there? maybe you can now hear why they're stuck in one. We'll call that a rift if they're stuck in it. Who houses the emotion that's frequencied with their emotion? Why are they so hurt? Sorry, I gotta cut this one short. I've got to pee.